Hey guys, how's it going? It's Lazarus here back with another live stream. Now today we've got a guest on for the first time on a live stream, so it's going to be super fun being able to interview him and, have a basic chat and also hang out with you guys. So today we have Alexander Williamson from The Secret History Living Inside Your Aquarium. Hello,
Yeah,
Alex. How's it going?
good. That's a mouthful. You got the channel name and my name all in there. So,
Yeah.
always a good day when that happens. Sometimes I mess that up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm doing well. It's about 1 in the morning our time here in America over on the West Coast. But I tend to be up
Wow.
late at night anyways, so it's nice.
It's almost 6 p.m. here.
6 p.m. All right. Yeah,
Yeah, very
6
big time
p.m.
difference.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
is it
yeah.
Tuesday over there?
Yeah. So is it
Okay,
Tuesday
so
morning?
it's okay. Yeah,
So
it's just became Tuesday an hour ago here.
yeah, great. So guys, basically we're going to start off the live stream with the first question, talk off that, and then we'll say hello to the audience and engage with that. So
Right on.
it's a it's a pretty basic question, but I mean something a lot of people like to know. How many aquariums do you have
Oh
currently?
boy. So we moved, my wife and I moved, we bought a house and it's the first house we've had and we used to live in a little apartment. And we still live in a pretty small house, but it's only 2 bedrooms, but we don't have any kids or anything, so it's basically just her and I. And I have 2 aquariums in the living room with me where I'm at right now. And then I've got, I guess, 18 in the quote unquote fish room, and then I've got another 9 ponds or tubs outside right now. So, and some of them are kind of temporary, and other, I'd say permanent tanks. It's about 20, 22 or so total, and then as far as ponds for the summer, I've got some are just rubber, like Rubbermaid Tupperware type containers, like for storage. And I've just filled those with water, and they don't have any filters or anything in them. They're just planted heavily and substrate. So they'll be up for another, maybe, hopefully 2 months, but it could be up to 2.5 months into, like, it could be into October, or they could be done by mid-September, depending on what the weather does here. So, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you have in those ponds?
So in the ponds outside right now, I've got some native fish. I've got two sunfish that are one is a rock bass, and the other one is a bluegill, which is kind of like a bass. And then, I mean, they really look a lot like Haplochromis cichlids or something. If you haven't, if they're not common. I know a lot of aquarium people don't necessarily know what game fish look like, but
Yeah.
they're what people fish for around here heavily. That and salmon, but to keep salmon or trout, you need a lot of aeration and water movement, and you need to keep the water kind of under about 70 degrees, like that's the max. And it's been way too warm of a. Oh, I should use the metric system, but it's been way too warm of a summer. So I'd say like 28 degrees is like the max for keeping a lot of the fish here that are native. So most of the fish that I'm having to keep, if I want to put them in the pond, are either introduced, or there's about a dozen what we call warm water lowland fish. And some of those are, we've got a few killifish and a few pupfish that are native to the area. So I've got a couple of those. A banded killie I've got, and then I've also got sticklebacks are another fish that are pretty common around the world, but I've got three
Yeah.
spine sticklebacks. that are a turquoise and navy blue color with dots and stripes. They're pretty neat ones. And then out there, I've also got 6 types of Midaka rice fish, the Japanese Ortiza latips, I guess. So I've got a white and orange color one strain, a orange strain, a gold strain, a white platinum white strain, a blue strain, and then a navy blue strain out there, all in separate tubs. And then I've got some gouramis out there right now that they've been out there for about a month, and I was hoping they could be there through September. But like tonight, the weather, it got down to like right now, it probably will get another 1 or 2 degrees cooler before it gets warm tomorrow again. But it went from, we had record breaking heat that got up to 40, I guess around 40, I think it would be degrees. And it's going to be around 35 or so. So hot, really hot desert weather for our area. It beat the last temperature record by 3.5 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
Like, so it's pretty unheard of. And so all of our lakes have gotten too hot. And the whole reason why I've got some of these fish is I took them home where we just recently got an air conditioning unit for the house, so I could also keep some inside. But they were literally at the top of the water, like gasping for air, because the O2 saturation had gotten so low in the lakes and rivers around here. Yeah. And then I guess I also have some rosy barbs, and then I always have a bunch of guppies and Neocaridina shrimp, Malawa shrimp, ghost shrimp. And then some green water just to always have on hand so I can feed baby fish some green water if I need to. So yeah.
So the ponds, are they like tubs or built around like dugout?
Yeah, the right now they are they're I guess they're 45-gallon bins is what they're called. So what would that be? Like 160 or maybe 180 liter containers. And they're for storing like clothes or tools in, like under the bed or in a small storage space. So they're only like maybe 40 centimeters tall, some of them. And so they're pretty shallow, but they hold quite a bit of surface area. So, and they were really inexpensive. They were only $20. So I did that for now because since we just moved into the house, I needed to clear out a lot of the vines and shrubs and things that were down in the yard. And I've got that cleared out now. But by the time I finished, it was a little late for the pond season. So I decided I'd probably wait till next spring to actually, I'd like to build a big koi pond that's, 2 levels with a waterfall, because our yard goes down a meter, like 1.2 meters. It drops. Like half of our yard is one height and the other is another. So I want to do like kind of a zigzagging waterfall there and have, my first thought was koi, but we have a lot of eagles that fly over and they can definitely see the koi, and other neighbors that have had koi that I talked to said that the great blue heron birds, as well as the eagles, bald eagles and ospreys are the species that are usually around here, that they will come swipe in, and if it's a bright orange fish or white fish, they see it pretty easily. So I was kind of thinking about, instead of doing a big koi pond, like doing something like putting a heater in it and doing like, 1,000 guppies that were like Dumbo ears or something, like something different. And then that way, if I know there's like a problem where birds or coyotes or cats in the neighborhood or something is eating them, at least it'll take them a few days to eat 1,000 or whatever, you know. So I could probably start with 20 of them and have 1,000 within 6 months or something, you know, in a pond. So
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
yeah.
since I started with a pair of endless in this, and there's over 50 babies now. So I'm sure
Oh,
if you put
nice.
that much guppies in, they should breed so easily. So
Yeah.
so do you net out most? Do you like go into your local ponds and creeks and net out the native fish, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so this summer is the first summer that I've done it as intensely as I've been doing it, but I got a new net that in years past my equipment just wasn't that good, and so I'd try and I'd get frustrated and I couldn't catch anything, but I finally got a net that goes it's 2 meters long, and then it also holds like I guess it would be 20 liters, the actual net like basket. And it's a good 60 centimeters across wide too. So it's a big net that I'm able to kind of throw out ahead of the fish and then like use my own shadow to scare them. And so I'll either put it on the other side of a log or a rock and then kind of scare the fish and they go into the net because it's a big enough net that I can catch. You know, I got a fish that was over 25 centimeters long in that net, and you know, maybe almost a kilo in weight. So
Wow, that's a good size
yeah,
eating fish there.
yeah, that was a pumpkin seed fish is what they're called here. But they're really pretty. They actually look pretty similar to discus. They're really tall. You know, they're like a tall fish that's it's not a super wide fish or a long fish, but they're kind of like a dinner plate shape or an oval shape. So nobody
Yeah.
in the US breeds them that I know of for color or anything. But I mean, the colors on them are as bright as wild discus. So I'm kind of surprised that that isn't in the hobby. You know, I've seen in Germany and Turkey that they've taken some of our American species and kind of brought them into the aquarium. But I think they've just been such in fact, like people don't like the taste of those fish very often, and historically, the poorer people ate those fish. And then the nicer quality fish was sold at market. So it was kind of seen as like garbage fish or trashy fish. Um,
Oh yeah.
the panfish species like warmouths and bluegills and um, uh, I'm trying to think what else. Pumpkin seed fish and even smallmouth bass. A lot of people catch them for sport, but they don't necessarily eat them. And then because of that, though, nobody's really thought to eat them. And both recently, I've seen they've been on the menu at some local restaurants that are kind of, I guess they're trying to be experimental or something, but historically they're seen as kind of like, oh, you can't eat those. Only if you're starving would you want to eat those. But because of that, yeah, nobody's really wanted to breed them or thought of them as like pretty or elegant or fancy. But it's kind of funny because I mean, lobsters used to be the same way. Like lobsters, nobody wanted to eat them because they thought of them as cockroaches underwater. And
Okay.
yeah, in the 1860s through the 1890s, New York City and London both fed their prisoners the lobsters because they didn't want them. They were caught in nets when they were fishing for, other things. And the crab and lobster were considered the gross food that only like the poorest people would eat. And so it's just funny how opinions change and how that shift can cause, if all of a sudden people start thinking that they're as cool as discus and they're worth 60 euros or something each, or whatever, 50 $60 each. It's just all a matter of opinion, so
Yeah.
right now I don't think you can buy them even if you wanted to in the US, whereas which to me makes them more fun to catch and watch. they also act very similar to cichlids. So like in the ponds, both sticklebacks and the panfish or sunfish, whatever you want to call them, species, because they're all both. So there's the green sunfish, there's the bluegill, there's the warmouth, there's the rock bass, there's the yellow bass, the striped bass, white bass. So there's like 9 or 10 different fish that all can hybridize also, and so they could really do some neat things with all those species, seeing as you can mix them together. Um, and they do for the purpose of trying to make fish that fight harder and are bigger for sports fishing, but nobody's really done any of it for the aquarium hobby. But they're really fun to watch in that the male will build a nest and he'll collect like shiny objects. But in the city where I live, you know, in a big city, when you look in the water, there's not always like clam shells or things like that that they would use naturally. So you'll see things like the ring from the bottle caps, or you know, the tabs off pop cans or soda cans. They collect anything that's shiny or bright colored, and then they put it in the pile in their nest, and they kind of clear it out with sand in a circle, and then they kind of show off all the stuff they collected, which is kind of funny to watch. And then the female comes, they lay eggs, and then the male protects it for about 5 or 6 days, and then the babies swim off after that. But it's fun to watch them do that because they do it right in the shallow water next to the shore too. So.
Oh yeah, that's fascinating because there's also the crows or ravens that do the same thing.
Yeah, a
They'll
lot of
collect the
birds.
shiny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
cool.
pretty cool.
Do you guys have the bass species down there that like have been introduced for fishing?
Well, we have the Australian bass. I think
Okay.
that's probably, yeah, that'd be native. We That's the only one I'm familiar with, to be honest. Then we
Okay.
have
Do you
lots of
guys
perch and
Okay. Do you have like rainbow trout
yeah,
or anything like that they've introduced for
yeah,
fishing? Okay. Yeah.
yeah. There's
So,
lots in my area. Yeah,
oh, okay,
lots
cool.
of it. Yeah.
Are you in Sydney?
No, I'm in Melbourne, Victoria. So
Oh, okay. Okay, you're in Melbourne. Okay. All right. Cool. The cool city.
yeah, sure.
All my friends always like that city most of all. So,
Wait, can you hold for a second?
yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah. That's the city all my friends that traveled to Australia, they always say was their favorite or was the most fun.
Wow, I'd say it's my least favorite.
Yeah, I guess that's how it goes when you're born and raised there, huh?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
when you know the whole place and all.
Yeah.
We have a few fish in our waterways here, but most of them are polluted. So we only really have mosquito fish. And
Yeah.
I think we have some types of shrimp. But then there's a waterfall. Um, it's like a small waterfall called Dice Falls. That's about a 10-minute bike ride. And there is a lot of native fish like Galaxius,
Oh,
the
cool.
short-finned eels. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's going to be. It's apparently a good fishing spot for the eels there. There's also lots of carp around here too. But yeah, nothing
Oh,
interesting. There used to be like those bigger natives, like the perch, like the redfin perch are native, but they're a bit cooler than carp, you can say.
have you
And then
you
you
seen
also have.
the Murray perch up north?
I haven't. No, I haven't seen any of those so far. But
They get huge.
yeah, I only got into like going out into the wild, catching wild fish like a while, only not too long ago. So
Ah, okay. Yeah. Do you
yeah,
have to
so I'm
be
starting
careful
to.
when do you have to be careful when you do that? Because of, I mean, I know it's not as crazy as you would think as far as poisonous things, but when you're going fishing, you're on the banks of rivers and out in the brush. So, I mean, is it a little harder to fish down there probably, or like do you have to be careful and or anything or?
Yeah, well, I haven't really gone fishing in my creeks yet, but in the summer, there'll be lots of eels just like down the road. So I'll go fishing there.
Ah,
But I know a few spots where it's a bit open, but yeah, you just have to drop it in very close to you with a fishing rod, and you use
okay.
it's good to use burley. I don't think without using burley, you'd just be the luckiest person to catch something. So that's a bit,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, you really want to find that spot where there's flow and then there's a still spot. That's where you'll
Yeah.
find the fish like the eels. Short-finned eels are native around here, and they're actually half saltwater, half freshwater. So they
Yeah.
will um, grow up in saltwater, going up the stream, and then they will come to breed in the freshwater and lay their eggs. I'm pretty sure,
Cool.
or it might be the other way around.
I think it might be
Um,
the other way around if they're like
yeah,
American eels and European eels, which is weird because salmon and all the other fish do it like you said the other way around.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that's
lots
cool.
of yeah. So I go fishing a lot though, at my beach house, which is near Geelong. Not sure if you know that spot, but
Uh,
it's
I don't think so. What's a big city near there or what part of the country is that?
it's along the coast near the Great Ocean Road, you could say.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so
Gotcha.
yeah, I go fishing there a lot, and I do catch on lures and bait, some salmon, flathead, um, mullet, whiting. There's a lot of species and lots of crabs there too. You just pull up a rock, you're gonna see a
Yeah.
crab there. So I've
Cool.
heard apparently crabs are something good for aquariums. So I'll research into that. But
Yeah.
yes, so yeah, mainly not much freshwater fishing. I really just go in saltwater or brackish water. But yeah, I'm gonna try freshwater in the future too. So yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, all the rainbow species and things in the north of the country, are sure interesting. But I
yeah,
guess it's getting harder to get into a lot of the areas where they are, or you're not allowed to fish for them, or like there's different regulations now. Um, but I was kind of surprised how far south some of the species supposedly go in the creeks and things. But I don't know. Off the top of my head, I can't remember like what the species were, but I just remember seeing that some of them were at least halfway down south, at least to central Australia.
yeah. Um, up up north, I think. Um, I found this black, you could say, pool. So basically, there's a beach, and then there's a sand dune, and then on the other end of the sand dune, there's this little canal. It's
Ah,
very
okay.
tiny, shallow, and then you go in there, you're seeing fry everywhere. So it's like the perfect
Oh,
spawning
cool.
site for fish. Yeah, and so when you go down that little bit, you'll see at the end there's this big black pool. So it's polluted, of course, but
Yeah.
in there, I went I went swimming in there not knowing that it was so polluted. I thought it would just be like muddy and stuff. Apparently, it
Yeah.
had lots of carcasses in it, but
Oh boy.
yeah, I went in there, and I felt something slimy along my legs, and it was a huge eel.
Oh
I don't know.
boy.
It was probably over a meter long. It
Oh
happened to
wow.
be a short finned. I think it was a short finned eel because the long finned eels are up near Queensland, in the
Yeah.
tropical areas. But yeah, so it was a short finned eel, and I tried to catch it in my hands. It was impossible. So
Oh
that
yeah,
was
yeah,
pretty
they're
cool. I'm gonna
hard to catch.
try go there. Yeah, I'll try go there after lockdown. Like in the summer holidays, go fishing there, try catch it. just a catch and release, just to see how big it is. Because, gosh,
Yeah.
yeah, that was big. And
So are they trapped in that canal kind of, or does
no,
it the tide come in and out of there, or a creek or something?
so maybe probably when I went there, that was in the dry season, so in the summer.
Oh,
So
okay.
probably in
Okay.
the wet season, it might rise quite a bit more. But so yeah, it was pretty low when I went there. It was about that deep across, and then the pool was pretty deep.
Gotcha.
But the eels, they can actually walk on land. So what they'll do is
Yeah.
they'll slither like a snake. So really, it's the perfect. That bit of water just makes it super easy for the eel. So yeah, it'd venture across that shallow water, and then find that little black pool because it's perfect. It's a freshwater creek right next to the ocean. So there'd be
Yeah.
like a place opening up into the ocean. So it was probably brackish because it had like flathead fry and all that sort of stuff. So it'd come in from there, and yeah, reproduce there, and then those or maybe it was, yeah, I've got to do more research, but it was
No, that's
either
cool
breeding
though.
there or just chilling there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Well, I mean, if it had to lay its eggs, it had to get there somehow. So even if it, it wanted to lay eggs or something, and then, or if the babies maybe were working their way into fresh water and got stuck there, in between seasons.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I don't know that eel for sure, like the way it spawns and everything. So maybe it does spawn like in those puddles and stuff, or in those I don't know, we call them estuaries usually.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Same here.
okay. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
we also call. I feel like there's another name we call them. I can't remember right now.
Would that be considered a billabong too, or is that strictly like an inland lake, like a billabong?
Where the eel is.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's more like a route from the ocean. So it's really just like the ocean's only a few meters away. So it's just over a
Oh, okay.
hill, literally. Then literally you're right down at that little creek. So well,
Oh,
it's not a
gotcha.
creek. It's kind of like
Just still
trapped
water.
water. Yeah,
Yeah.
still
Okay.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it used to also be garbage dump there too, which was the
Yeah.
part I was swimming in. So
Of
um,
course. Yeah, we've got a lot of lakes like that here, and luckily my city, Seattle, has cleaned up a lot of them, and it's pretty impressive. I've tried to cover some of that on my channel and some of my videos this summer. But when you read about what used to live there and how, salmon that used to weigh 80, well, let me think about this, like 40 kilos, used to spawn there a meter long, and that was the norm. It's just amazing.
yeah,
And now there's none, there's junk floating there. But they're starting to restore a lot of it. And I went recently to the fish ladder by my house, and there were a few salmon that were like almost a meter or maybe even over a meter long, uh, king salmon, which was really cool to see,
oh yeah,
because there were years when no salmon had come back, and now they're starting to come back. This year, I think they've already counted over 5,000, so pretty good.
yeah. That's great. So I just wanted
Yeah.
to say hello to the viewers. So at very early, so like um, 9 hours before this started, or eight, we had Fish and Fins Forever. Thanks for popping in. Ollie Stitsky. I don't know why I always say that, but thanks for coming at the start of the live stream. Then a bit into the live stream, we have Dave's Aquarium Dots. Sorry I haven't been talking about your comments there, but yeah, he's been tagging along the conversations by the looks of it. So yeah, that's basically it. But yeah, we'll keep up the conversation. Those people watching the replay might find this interesting. So let's see. I'll ask you a question that's not really much asked. I just came up with it on the spot, but
Yeah, I love that.
what would be the number one thing that you think every beginner wanting a planted tank should know about aquarium plants? So the number one, the most important thing you think about keeping aquarium plants.
That's a tricky one, but the thing that I've been telling people lately when I'm trying to set up, my mom had actually asked for the first time ever. I mean, she used to be really mad when I had an aquarium because when I was 10, 11 or whatever, I didn't always keep up with cleaning the algae off the glass of, I'd have two or three of them and like I'd let them get a little dirty. But I didn't know
Yeah.
about plants back then. And if I'd known about plants, I could turn this around really quick and show you like these tanks over here are full of plants.
Yeah.
And I never have to do any maintenance work on them other than like I never have to clean the glass of algae. I never have to change the substrate or gravel vacuum or I usually go about 4 to 6 months before changing the filter even. So I'm basically just doing water top offs and then every month maybe I'll do a 20% water change on that tank. So my advice or my thoughts are that having a whole bunch of plants is by far the easiest thing you could do to make your success more assured in an aquarium, like having a good substrate for the plants and a good light and then the plants, and that all just depends. I mean, if you want to get fast growing plants and colorful plants and a really good highlight or CO2 or anything, you can go all the way that route. Or if you just want, Anubias and Java Fern and maybe some crypts or something and gravel and low light, then you can do that too. But having that as well as I think floating plants are another one that are not used by new aquarium keepers enough because new aquarium keepers frequently seem to get a little bit frustrated because of you'll cycle your aquarium and you wait a month or whatever, you wait all this time and then a fish dies or something and it can spike the ammonia and then another fish dies and then the ammonia gets higher and all of a sudden you killed all the fish in your tank. And it's the other thing that I think is almost as important is that it's harder to keep a smaller tank. The bigger the tank you have, the easier it is to keep your fish alive in. And a lot of people, to them that it doesn't seem to make sense at first that that's the way it is. But, the temperature or the percentage of certain chemical or a certain a nutrient or fertilizer in the water can go up a lot faster when it's a small, if you've got like a 10-liter aquarium versus a 60-liter aquarium, you're going to have a lot more. You may have an extra 2 or 3 days before you notice the problem at all in the big aquarium. So, and I think plants do the same thing. If you have ammonia, they're going to help take care of the ammonia. If you have fish that cause a lot of waste, like plecos or something that go to the bathroom a lot, they also, the plants, they will use that waste over time as it settles into the substrate. And then you don't need to gravel vac if you don't feel like it. I mean, that's the thing with gravel vacuuming that a lot of people, I think, don't misunderstand or don't quite get is that, when you gravel vac, if you really just have just gravel rather than aqua soil or something, you need to keep gravel vacuuming all the dirt up all the time. And you can do that if you want a spotless tank that has no mold or debris at the bottom at all and really, really clear water. But you have to have one really good filters outside the tank or on the tank. And then two, once you start gravel vacuuming more than just picking up chunks of leaves or dead fish, or maybe if you've overfed, you know, green beans to a pleco, you could obviously use a gravel vacuum or a siphon to clean that up. But if you're doing it just to clean the tank, like when people clean out their tank, you're disrupting all the good bacteria that's formed on those surfaces. And if you just leave it alone, the waste that is full of nutrients and things, because a lot of fish don't digest their food that well. You know, a lot of fish don't digest over 80% of the vitamins and minerals that are in the food. And so then it gives a chance for your catfish and your shrimp and your snails to eat the waste, which, you know, doesn't always sound great, but then you have a full ecosystem, you know, where everybody's helping each other clean. And then you've got little bugs and little things that, you know, plankton and things that establish themselves in your tank. Even planaria and detritus worms, which a lot of people don't like. And yes, they can kill baby fish if you're spawning fish, or baby shrimp if they're really young. But at the same time, they also eat your extra food if you overfeed, you know. So while I don't like having them, like I don't think it's a good sign to have them around in abundance. I do have a few tanks where I have loaches, and what I'll do is I'll actually overfeed the tank daily for a while, to the point where it gets lots of snails being hatched and lots of planaria, like little worms with the triangular head, if people don't know what planaria are, that go up the glass, usually more at night. And they're probably 1 centimeter to 2 centimeters long at the longest, and a few millimeters long when they're babies. But the loaches and goldfish and bettas, things like that, really actually like to eat those. So if you don't have, if you're not overfeeding to the point of causing nitrate and ammonia spikes, you can actually use your own aquarium to generate the food. You know, once they create enough of a colony, it'll be hard to get rid of. But at the same time, if you have the fish that you know will eat it, then it works fine. Like dojo loaches or weather loaches, they eat planaria, is one of their favorites, you know.
Oh yeah, we have
Yeah.
some of those in our local waterways here too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I've read that too. That's interesting, because, you know, in the aquarium hobby, I've always thought of them as fish that get about this big, you know. But
Yeah.
recently I found them in our local waterways, which is very unusual and hasn't been documented yet, because we're really far north here where I live. And you know, Canada's only an hour drive from my house.
That's cool.
So yeah, so I'm just south of Vancouver, and yeah, it surprised me that they were doing so well and that they were having babies. When I recently, there's another episode I did recently, but I went and caught some of those, and the local pet stores are selling them for $7 to $12 each, depending on the size. And I was able to just scoop out 15 in about, I don't know, 20 minutes. So, but they got almost half a meter long, or maybe a third of a meter long, you know, which was amazing. I didn't realize they got that big, you know. I saw one try to eat a baby duck. It grabbed the baby duck by the foot, like a baby duckling, and it pulled it under the water for a moment. And I was like really shocked by that. I thought it had to be some sort of big fish, you know, like some predatory fish in the water that I wasn't used to seeing, like, or a really big bass, because bass will eat baby ducks too. But when I finally got in there with the net and kind of cornered it in the pond and everything, and then saw that what they were, I was surprised that they were loaches. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, but kind of interesting what survives.
Yeah. Going back, way back to the spot where you said having a tank is bigger, having a bigger tank is easier to keep than a smaller tank.
Yeah.
My friend Ollie, I managed to get him into getting a tank. He hasn't gotten it yet, but he was going. He was going to get a small, like 20 liter, just like this one,
Uh-huh.
and then we were on Facebook Marketplace, and I told him having a bigger tank is better. So instead, now from a 20 liter, he's getting a 60 liter, and
Oh,
so yeah, that'll be a lot easier for him. So we'll see how that goes and
that's
how he goes
cool.
with that. But yeah,
Yeah. It's funny because I think I might have said 10 liters, but I was going to say it's pretty close to the hypothetical situation I just threw out there was when I was talking, is what your
yeah,
friend ended up doing.
and also
That's cool.
help G'day Valley Lake Fish Room. Thanks for coming onto the stream today. In fact, he recently did a giveaway. First giveaway I'd ever won. But
Yeah.
yeah, so
Oh, cool. You
it
won?
was I was second place. So
Ah, nice.
I won. It was oh yeah, 4 lemon blue eye bristlenose
Oh,
and
great. Yeah.
3 Bozeman eye rainbow fish.
Wow, that's a good prize. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, they should be arriving any day now. So, but
Oh,
yeah,
neat.
huge shout out to um, Valley Lake Fish Room. So
Right
yeah,
on. Are they in
that's cool.
Australia?
Yeah, South
Oh,
Australia, I'm
okay.
pretty sure. If
Cool.
he's
Yeah.
watching, you'll have to correct me on that. But yeah,
Yeah.
so let's move on to another question, shall we?
Of course.
Okay, this is a short one, and I probably know what the answer is already going to be, but why not? Do you
All right.
enjoy Do you enjoy water changes?
You know, I have a sore back. I injured my back a few years ago, and so that makes it harder. But I have to say that honestly, I do surprisingly like the water changes because it gives you, even if you're not in the mood, and even if maybe you've ignored an aquarium, like especially when you have 20 aquariums, it's really easy to ignore one or two of them. But when you do water
Yeah,
changes, you need to, I mean, you look around and you make sure that nothing's dead or nothing is sick or the plants are doing okay, or there's not a foam or a slime on the top of the aquarium at all, and that the temperature's okay, or your heater's working or your thermostat's working, all those things that um, you can lose track of. It kind of forces you to do that. Whereas I know people who have completely automated fish rooms, where the water just tops itself off. And
yeah,
while that saves a lot of time, I I noticed that when they have problems, sometimes and they talk about them, a lot of times it's like, oh, 4 tanks over full filled, and then or the pump or the heater or something turned off on this whole shelf, and I didn't catch it until the next day, or whatever it may be. But certain things that like maybe you would have seen that the light was flickering the week before during the water change, and then kind of kept an eye on it or whatever, or seen that the heater was slowly getting too hot or not working at all, or those kind of things.
yeah,
But no, I don't like actually physically picking up buckets of water.
yeah, yeah. Same
Yeah.
here.
Okay, I figured. I mean, it's that, and especially before I had planted tanks, doing cleaning of the filter was the grossest thing to me. It almost made me not want aquariums, especially when I was your age. And my parents, the deal was, I could have an aquarium, but I had to take care of it all, and I had to stay on top of, changing out all the filters and the cleaning the algae and not letting it get algae. And before real plants were popular, so this is like 20 years ago now. Um, I mean, you just couldn't find them. Most stores didn't sell plants. And the magazines and things on fish didn't even talk about plants most of the time. It was kind of a special group of people that were into it. Um,
Yeah.
and I think aquascaping, which is all about plants, and hardscape too, I suppose, but it's a lot about plants. I think the beauty of that kind of shocked so many people, and even though they couldn't jump in right away to being able to recreate like what Takashi Amano and some of the amazing aquascapers do, it's a goal, and it's also I guess it's an eye opener of the potential that's there, and so it made me, when I saw Takashi Amano's work in there, like maybe 2005 or six, I thought like, that's cool, but I could never do that. And then once I finally saw some of the plants for sale locally, and I tried it and they lived, it was kind of like, oh, why have I been buying plastic plants all these years? Um, it's kind of interesting. People think that plants are harder because you can kill them, but if you plan and educate yourself properly of your tank and your equipment and water parameters, it makes everything easier to have plants. It makes the fish happier, and it makes the water cleaner, more oxygen in the water. It's just everything about it is, I mean, there's a reason why fish evolved with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll finish the live stream today with the last question. What was your first fish?
Okay, so the technical answer, my first fish was a goldfish named Elvis, and I think I was 8 years old maybe. But I went to a school carnival, like a activity day where they
Fake, you
had,
could say.
yeah, yeah, and they had a thing where you threw pennies at jars, and each jar, like some of them had, I don't know, marbles, or like not very good prizes, but some little thing, like, or something in it, like a whistle or something, like a plastic whistle. But then every maybe 10th jar had goldfish in it. And so I had like done the thing where I think it was, you threw a nickel or a penny, but you threw a coin into it from like 10, I don't know, 10 paces away or something. And if you got the one in, you got whatever one it landed in, if it landed in one of the jars and not in between them. And I ended up winning 3 goldfish with the 5 throws I had. I got 3 goldfish. And so my mom talked to the guy running the event, because I had gone in over there with my friend, and my mom was talking to her friend, one of my schoolmates, mothers she was talking to. So she wasn't really paying attention while I had won, but the guy was ready to give me 3 different goldfish, and so she said, well, we'll take 1 goldfish, and you can have it. And so we took it home, and we didn't really know anything about how to take care of it, and the internet wasn't around then. So there was no internet to look things up on. So we went to the library and got a book, but some of the old books for goldfish still said just put them in a bowl. So it had no filter or anything like that. But then it lived until I was 14 years old. So it lived like 6 or 7 years, I think. And but in the time between then, the first real fish tank set up with a filter and a heater and a light and everything, I got on my 10th birthday. And I got guppies, platies, one angelfish, and 3 albino corridoras. I still remember that's what was in, and it was a 10-gallon tank. So probably too much for that tank at the time, and for me being a kid with the angelfish. The angelfish did die, but the corys lived and the guppies lived, and then I got obsessed from age 10 to probably 15 with breeding guppies. And they hadn't really bred a purple guppy yet, that had a delta tail, which was the big fancy tail that's kind of wedge shaped. They didn't have a snakeskin purple, and so I was one of the first people, because one of the guys near me was breeding them, and so I wrote him a letter and bought, for I think it was $75, I bought a pair off of him. And so I had some of these first ones, and not long after that, the internet had become a thing, and eBay became a thing. And so I sold fish on eBay for a while, and I would get anywhere between $40 and $100 a pair for some of my rare guppies. And that's like, instead of having to have a summer job of any sort or anything, that was one of the things I did for money. So and then was able to get more tanks. But then when I had enough money for a big tank, my parents were like, no, you can't have you know, a 40-gallon or whatever it was. Yeah, I think 60 liters was as big as they'd allow me to have. So yeah.
Same here. I just managed to get a 25-gallon, but
Okay. They don't even make that size here.
Yeah, it's basically 90 centimeter cubed.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Is it a rimless then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Do they even have tanks with rims with the plastic frame on them there? Or are they all pretty much rimless?
Well, when you get the DIY, like the YI Ding, I think it's called, those tanks that are custom made, or they're just empty tanks. Usually they're rimless, but when you buy those new tanks, like the Aqua one, the Fluval, those sort of tanks, they tend to have rims on them.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. They just started selling the flu balls, like the flu ball spec and the flu ball. I can't even think of all the names, but there's a bunch of them now. So yeah.
Although I managed, oh, never mind. No, sorry. So I just want to say hello to Dylan, aka the Flaming Potato 379. How you doing? And Tanked Up. You seem to be new here. Welcome, and thanks for joining the stream. Sadly, though, I'm gonna have to finish it here. It's dinner time.
Alrighty. Well, it went fast, and thank you for having me.
Yeah.
You'll have to come on my channel, and we'll have to do this again. Yeah,
be great.
Okay.
So, yeah, those who are watching haven't seen his channel. Well, I've watched a few videos. It's very good. Yeah, I left a link in the description to his channel. So yeah, if you guys want to go hit that red subscribe button and turn on the bell for him, yeah, that'd be much appreciated. So thank you all for tuning in today, and for those who watched the replay, probably didn't make it to the end, but yeah. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a wonderful evening, night, morning, day, whatever it is in all your areas. So yeah, have a good one, and I will probably see you in the next live stream / video. Thanks, Alexander, for coming on to the stream today.
Of course, yeah, anytime. My honor to be here.
Thanks. Okay. See you guys.